Thanks for tuning in to the Fibrenews podcast. I'm your host, Jonny Rae, and in this episode, I'm joined by Will Goodall from Giga Britain. I've known Will for many, many moons, so for this episode, it was quite relaxing and fun. We got to have a good natter about the channel, an area we're both passionate about. And of course, we dive into the things that we do like, we don't like about the channel, and we get to talk about Giga Britain as a brand and some of their unique products. For me, we get to go into deep discussion about their wireless proposition, a solution that works in London and other major cities where you can provide a wireless Ethernet option. It can be installed absolutely rapid. So for any of those customers that need connectivity quick and they need it to be chunky and they need it to be reliable, that product is absolutely for you. So before we get into things, I also just want to say, please do subscribe wherever you listen or watch this episode, whether that's on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, or Spotify, or any of the other podcast platforms. It really helps us. If we know you like the content, we will continue producing it. So please hit that subscribe button. Sit back, relax, and enjoy. Right, I'll lead. Hi, mate.
Hello, Mr. Rae.
How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. How are you?
I'm very good. Thank you for driving down.
Yeah, 6:30 start. Anything for you?
How long did it take?
About 4.5 hours, but Gloucester Services is probably up there with
the best. Buddy. Are you talking about my post that I done on Channel Live? Is that why you're bringing that up? Or you randomly bring it? I done a post. You on about the farm shop services?
Yeah.
Yes, mate. Yeah, I done a post about that before Channel Live, saying how amazing it was. Did you get a pie, or did you go for a bacon?
Why did you choose pie as the first option? Just out of interest. It's random, is it? No, I didn't. I just use the facilities, if I'm honest. But I have.
You went to Gloucester Services and didn't eat?
No. I couldn't remortgage the house. I'm from the north, you see, so it's a bit of a challenge.
You don't want to pay £8 for a bacon roll?
No, exactly.
Right, so we've known each other for quite a while, actually, so I'm
Yes.
quite excited about this podcast. And you, how long ago did you start with Giga Britain?
So, good question. So I joined Telcom in March last year.
Yeah.
And we kind of launched Giga Britain officially October last year in Manchester.
Fine, so let's talk about that different. Let's get straight into it. What's the difference between Telcom and Giga Britain? So there's two brands. So the brand that we know and I know is Giga Britain, but you talked about Telcom there at the start, and we know Telcom is in the background. So what is that breakaway? What is that differentiator?
So Giga Britain is our wholesale movement.
Yes.
It's our differentiator into Telcom Group, but also for our partners. It kind of works with a few things, really. It's our kind of mission statement in terms of being disruptive, relationship focused, supporting partners to grow, and then also it enables partners to have a brand to sell under to drive customer penetration for themselves.
Fine, okay, so that makes sense. So it's interesting that having a brand to support partners, so we're not really used to that when we talk about the traditional channel, right? You would never normally communicate about the wholesaler in the background, unless it's a voice product that was very well known. It's normally quite hidden and you'd only push your product. But I suppose with connectivity is a bit different. So does Giga Britain help partners by doing direct campaigns, or is that to come? Or
yeah, so we work with partners on that. I think it's an interesting point you make on kind of the wholesale involvement in terms of supporting your partners. I mean, if you ask any sort of reseller out there, their number one primary aim is obviously to make money. Yeah. And to do that, it's through customer acquisition. And a lot of the times, that's not the easiest thing, particularly if you're a growing business. So if we can add services and facilities to help that and help them grow, we'll grow in turn, and it kind of cements what a partnership should be.
Roger that, okay. Right, so before we jump into that, actually, what I normally do is give a bit of a background about the person and where they've come from and how they've got into where they are and which position of which company. So, yeah, let's go through yours. Let's not go all the way back, because you just told me earlier you've hit over 4-0, so we can't be here for 2 hours talking about your history.
It'll just be a video of me sleeping in the corner, just dribbling on myself, yeah.
When did you get into connectivity? When did your career start within the connectivity arena?
In 1960, I'm joking. I joined NCL Telewest. So from my age, on inbound sales. And anyone that's done sales straight from university on inbound, where people are ringing you up wanting a product that only you can sell. Yeah. You do get a bit of an inflated opinion about sales, and you do kind of
Is that residential?
business.
Business.
We were selling 10 and 20 meg broadband,
Yeah.
400, 500 calls a day, faxing contracts out, all that good stuff.
Yeah.
I did that for a couple of years. Had a overinflated opinion, as most 20-year-olds do. Went for promotion, didn't get it. Said, I'm going to leave. I know better. And went out to the job market. And obviously, most sales businesses said, what did you do? I said, I answered a phone call. Don't get me wrong, skill set to that. But I was classed as a bit of an order taker.
Yes.
So I decided, having done inbound, I would add outbound to my skill set. And I moved into kind of employee benefits. I did cold calling through PM Yearbook for 3 years there.
Through what?
A PM Yearbook. So it was like a directory, and you literally put it down and you just go business, 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 and you just cold calling.
Yeah.
And then had the opportunity to come back to what was now Virgin as an account manager. So in my head, I've done inbound so I can close quickly. I've done cold calling because I can open a door.
Yeah.
And then the account management role meant I could add another skill set of growing a customer.
Yeah.
So I did that for 2 or 3 years. Then I moved to management because I'm just trying to be logical in my head in terms of what I do. So I've done these bits, kind of manage a team. So I manage a SME sales team.
Yeah. Direct sales still.
Direct sales. Started talking to other departments in Virgin on the wholesale side in terms of collaboration, which was quite unusual. Normally there's kind of walls between them. And then we did quite well with that for a couple of years, and then an opportunity to move into wholesale presented itself, and that's where the kind of love affair with Channel came.
Yes. And then what was your first role with the channel? Were you a desk-based account manager everybody was? Or
I went straight into field sales. So a lot of people listening will relate to this. So I came through the desk at Virgin where you've got 100 people vying for that next job promotion, be it as a manager into an ops manager, be it into field sales, and only a finite number, make it. And on the desk, you literally walk down the office, and every sales team board is there. Red, not great. Green, you fly in. So immediately you're in that environment where you don't even notice it's happening, but it builds that a resilience and a work ethic.
Yeah.
So I was fortunate to go straight into field sales, which meant, and I felt like a lottery winner.
They give you a car
allowance.
Yeah.
So I went through.
Did you actually get a car with your car allowance, or did you do like everyone else and
I went from my Focus, 10-year-old Focus, to a Kia Sportage, and literally felt like I'd won the lottery. So, but coming from the desk, if my boss said, right, I want you to travel to Inverness tomorrow from Manchester, no problem.
No drama.
Really grateful, really, and it's I still feel that way now.
Yeah.
So I went into partner recruitment to start with at Virgin.
What's that? New biz?
Yeah, new biz.
Partner recruitment's a fluffy term around that, isn't it?
Yeah, well, it's interesting because with a brand like Virgin, it felt really conflicting because you're almost interviewing a partner. Now, I don't know what Virgin do now, I'm sure it's different, but they would need to commit to a certain spend, certain profile of a business. Yeah. So it was almost like it was a weird recruitment role because I'm used to trying to pull someone in, and it was almost like, well, we'll work with you if you
that a little bit close to
you hit these criterias. So we did that for a little bit, and then moved into strategic account management there and looked after 2 or 3 of the bigger wholesale partners.
Yeah. Do you miss those days of being on the field and having targets to hit and the wind in your more so hair back then on the road 4 days a week, and the schmoozing part where you just get partners on a jolly and having a great time?
It's not really stopped, to be honest. So I don't mean the jolly bit. I don't think, it's my personal view, other people will be different in roles. I don't think you can represent your customers internally and externally unless you're meeting with them and working with them. So
really agree.
I do probably more meetings now with partners than I did then.
Yeah.
And do everything to support a partner.
Yeah.
So A, I know what the journey is, so I can talk internally, but B, so I can relate to a partner.
Yeah.
If I ever became someone that's just
I can't build
sitting at home, I
rapport
can't.
on Teams. I go in panic mode as soon as there's a bit of, that every Teams meeting at the start, there's always that.
You're talking on mute, Johnny. You're talking on mute.
Yeah, that, and there's like always a little bit of a delay, or you're talking over each other. Like, I get excited at the start of a meeting, so I start rambling, which is obviously not very good. But then I always overtalk the other person, not on purpose, and then from there I'm like, oh, this meeting's gone bad, and it throws me off for the rest of the meeting. I hate it. I love going to site, and I think we absolutely miss a lot of it. I also don't think you can sell in the channel completely remotely. I think if you've got a channel offering to be had, if you're not there in front of partners, I'll caveat that with some partners won't want to be seen. Some of the more, I'm putting stereotypes out there, but I can because it's my podcast. Some of the more techie, like MSP focused partners don't care about you coming to see them. But I think building that rapport when you've got a product where it's hard. It's not direct sales, right? So you're not going out there to try and close that bit of business there and then. You need that partner or reseller to buy into you as a person to then say, right, please think of us when you're going out there and selling those products and put that connectivity for us. I don't think you can do that remote, right?
No, and it's a balance, because I get what you're saying, because some partners will say, I just want someone responsive on the end of a phone when I ring or email you.
Yeah.
But then at the same time, you need to show your customers ultimately that there's a relationship there on a personal level, but also that you want to work together.
And channel is so much that as well.
Yeah.
It's so much. There is the relationship build, like you say in any sales, there's relationship building there. But again, we go back to the direct sales side. 9 times out of 10, if you sell, I don't know, you sell a telephone system and then a broadband, you might, depending on what that customer spends, see them if you're lucky, once a year, right? But in the channel side, it can't be like that because it's repeat business and you constantly need that partner to be able to believe in you, believe in your product. Of course, everything comes with it. You've got to have a great product at a great price and a great portal and everything else. But without that solid relationship, you got no chance, right?
Well, yeah, I mean, just a personal view, I think one of the drivers behind Giga Britain and what we're building is there's a danger to believe automation's the answer to everything, and that you don't actually need to see a customer, speak to a customer, listen to a customer, and that everything can be done through a portal in terms of logging a fault, chasing an order, a query, any of that stuff. And I think that's probably to the detriment of some businesses focusing on that. And I think partners want to be able to potentially work together on an opportunity. They want to be able to understand that you get their business.
Yeah.
And you are accountable. That's probably the key, and it's hard to be accountable through a portal.
Yeah.
Only approach.
Yeah. And Ethernet's a bit scary as well, right? Because if something goes wrong with an Ethernet connection, like the world has gone wrong. Do you know what I mean? So there's a pressure there. So they need to be able to pick up the phone and be like, right, Alan, William, get that connected. What's happening? This and that.
And it's commoditized as well. So if you can differentiate through a relationship and accountability and support and all those things, I know where I'd rather spend my money if things were similar priced, etc.
Yeah. Okay, so you went Virgin. I'm going to jump about here. So you done all your bit there and you learnt your way of the world in the channel. We went off on a tangent and you understood the world of connectivity. A year and a half ago, did you say, sorry, no, a year ago. How long ago did you start Telcom?
I joined in March last year.
Right, so year and a couple of months.
Yeah, to open the wholesale part of the business.
What was first point of call when you came in and you've got a fresh start and you had a wholesale, right? So this is yours, this is your baby. What do you do day one, and what's the most important thing to get a product into the channel? And this is obviously a plug-free conversation now because this is off the cuff. Oh, your account needs attention. Go on, crack on, don't worry, we can keep that in, don't worry.
So, I suppose there's a few things really. I think from a personal point of view, there's an aspirational thing of, like, job titles don't really mean huge amounts, but to progress to a position of potential seniority after kind of starting answering phones.
Damn right.
And then understanding what your core values are and what you think your channel should be, because I don't want to replicate what's already out there, because what's the point? And I realise that I might not have the fortunes of some of our competitors, so I have to be different, I have to be innovative. So there's probably, to start with, 10-20% of that sort of discipline focus in terms of driving an identity. There's partner discussions in terms of what they're looking for, because I think if you start something, you can't come in and go, I know the answers, this is what we're doing. You've got to, I listened to the partners probably the first month. I knew from the industry. I had conversations with a number of people and took that feedback on. And then ultimately, you need
What
to
is
get
that feedback? Right,
feedback. It's a really good point. So
connectivity's unsexy, right?
It's unsexy, but we all talk about partners. So every business has partners. Now, in any other walk of, partnership there's an element of trust. There's a mutual understanding of benefit. There's accountability. There's all these different things. Whereas in our world, connectivity, you can partner with a number of people, be classed as partners, but effectively it's just an ability to order something. So a lot of the feedback from partners I knew and wanted to work with was, show us what an actual partnership is, because this term gets banded around in the industry. We're partners with 5 or 6 different wholesale providers. We don't really know who our account manager is. They don't know really what we do, and they don't understand how they can support us to grow. You need to demonstrate how you're different in that area with how you act and interact with us.
I think sometimes as well, the waters can get clouded when you're used to dealing with a multi-product giant. So if there's some brands out there that do every product to you as the reseller, they may not do one product particularly well, or they may not. As soon as you don't hit certain numbers early on as a partner, then the interest goes out the window. You can't blame them, right? If an account manager has 100 accounts with one of these giants, are they going to go there and say, what's going wrong? Can I help you to get more business? Those days are kind of out. You can tell with some of the other giants, that will go down to like how do you not be insulting? It's like the low end desk managers. Like everyone's had it. They get that book of like 100 accounts. Like they haven't done any business in 2 years. Bell them up and see what you can do. That isn't going to work, right? You need that more personable approach. And I think the channel is becoming more adept to gaining relationships direct with that product who does it best. Does that make sense? Not really. So your voice, is a bit. If we jump back 10 years ago, we'll have a look at two or three larger brands who do it all, and then we'll put all of our eggs in that basket. Nowadays, a partner or a reseller or an MSP is more adapt to be going, right, I do connectivity, I'm going to go and get connectivity with that supplier there because that's where a majority of my customers are, because they've got a really good network building there. For voice, I'm not going to use one of the big three. I'm going to go out to the market and see one of the voice-only suppliers. For hardware, I'm going to go to a distributor. They're trying to breaking away, and they're used to getting those multiple relationships. So that was a tangent. I can't remember what we were saying before.
So I get what you're saying, because you see benefits. So there's businesses that offer multiple services, one shop, you get everything. And then there's the should we deal with specialists in those areas? I think on your point on the account management piece of, and I'll be honest with you, long may it continue in the channel where other account managers and other businesses go, you're not really worth my time. Please carry that on. Because I think a lot of, this might be controversial, but I think in channel...
Always cut it out, mate.
Yeah, well, you don't need to cut it out. It's true. So I think... I was saying that to tee up the...
Sorry.
Don't worry. I would say in channel, from an account management perspective, coming from... kind of done a brief bit on my journey where you get to an appreciation and stuff, and really having to recruit hard using LinkedIn on a Saturday night because you know someone's going to be on the phone, so you can build a rapport and a chat and recruit those partners in, and really having to pull them in and prove your worth. I think it's very rare in channel that an account manager's had that journey. I think a lot, the view is Johnny's a partner, Fibrenews are a partner, there's your portal access, place your orders. Yeah. And if you don't, it's because you're not doing the business and all those things. But if you ring me with an issue and I go, it's an issue, I'm not speaking to you, that creates a challenge and you miss so many opportunities. So the sort of culture I have with my team and how I've always been is and this is an alien concept to a lot of people in channel, is kind of answering this when your partners ring and responding to emails. If I do that, I'm 95% ahead of the majority of support resellers receive in the industry.
Yeah.
I know partners who will go to suppliers and say, I've got an opportunity, and then they'll get a phone call and they'll say, I haven't really, I've got these 4 issues that need sorting. So to your point, a lot comes down to kind of the individual ethos of the area. A lot comes down to the channel in terms of we all need to lift our standards up to support resellers out there. I think that's probably a big driver and a big opportunity for us at Giga Britain.
Right. So we've moaned about the channel quite a bit there then, that's good. And we're going to take that as a USP for Giga Britain. That there's some...
We hate the channel, we don't hate the channel. We love the channel.
So let's talk about the actual products let's get Giga Britain spoken about. So Giga Britain is the wholesale arm to Telcom Group, large connectivity player in the north. You set up Giga Britain, which is a national player or your network only. What's the crack with your products? Let's talk about the products.
So we split into, we have our core hypercities where we offer fibre and wireless.
Go on.
We'll obviously get into wireless, I'm sure.
Okay.
So currently we have Manchester, Leeds, Liverpool, Birmingham, soon to be Cardiff, and then wireless in London.
And they're a hypercity.
Hypercity.
Is that a industry term or is that just your term?
It's our term.
Roger. Okay.
Because for us, the real value in the cities is a number of kind of our pre-connected buildings, which is, I know, is a precursor to another product, but if we can provide fantastic connectivity within cities, which historically have been left a little bit because our carrier friends maybe been focusing on other areas.
You can't blame them. She's trying to get a lease line into either central London or Manchester or something like that.
Not easy.
For the road works, got to dig up the road, you've got to do that. 6 months later, computer says no. It's horrendous.
100%.
Horrendous. Right, so a hypercity is a city where you've built your network out and you pass X amount of properties.
Yeah,
and
that's right.
It's on net for you.
But then when we don't, if our partners have opportunities elsewhere, we use carrier partners.
For the national play.
Yeah, and I deliberately use the term carrier partners. We don't refer to them as suppliers or treat them in a way that's not collaborative in terms of how we work together. We've won awards with carriers due to fantastic delivery times because we work in partnership with them. I think a lot of times, having been on the end of it from my Virgin days, if you're quite what's the best way of putting it? If you are not open to work collaboratively and you're quite disruptive in terms of aggressive with a supplier, sometimes your service can drop. You can impact ultimately your customer. So we try and work really closely with them to drive standards. So we cover the rest of the UK with our carrier partners.
Right. Are you vocal about who your carrier partners are?
Yeah, 100%. So primarily, we'll work with Colt, Virgin, Sky, really close relationships with those guys.
At your little London event, which
it was good, wasn't it?
Legendary.
Yeah.
Very
social.
Very bountiful Scottish lady, which I don't want to say her name wrong because I think
everyone's brilliant.
Yeah, she's a legend. Right. Okay. So then, hypercity is your network. Then you've got your national play, which is with your carrier partners. Right on. So the part that interests me is you guys made an acquisition. Telcom made the acquisition, which now sits under the Giga Britain wholesale arm. Is that right?
So we acquired Luminet last year, and now the wholesale arm of Luminet, if you like, is working within Giga Britain.
Yes, and for those that don't know, but I'm sure they probably will, Luminet has been around for absolute donkey's years. They are the wireless Ethernet daddies.
Yeah, it's an amazing business. So we they can provide wireless connectivity in 10 days.
Yeah,
covering zones 1, 2, and 3 in London.
Yeah,
they're just, it does exactly what it says on the tin in terms of speed of delivery in probably one of the most difficult places to install and connect fibre, be it closing roads, be it wayleave, those sort of issues.
Yeah.
So really got a niche, really great team there as well that we're taking a lot of learning from in terms of bringing that into the group.
And what are your partners, are they using that as a standalone product or are they using that as a product until the Ethernet connection gets installed?
Both. So we will provide in London 100% SLA, where we can provide fibre and wireless from a resilience point of view is almost untouchable.
Always on.
Yeah, always on. And from the wireless side, customers can be connected really quickly while the fibre is deployed. We do temporary ones as well, where if there's an issue with a partner, large framework or a large deployment, and there's a few key sites, and they need to get those sites live in order to deploy an SD-WAN solution, for example, then we'll provide those on the shorter term.
What's SD-WAN?
It's the...
I don't actually know what it is, right? And I know I'm Fibrenews, and I know it's a product to do with it, but I don't know what it is.
I don't...
And we can...
For me, I'm going to show my age. So historically, I'll get the technical name wrong, but I know what it does. Historically, we would have an MPLS network.
Right, I'm aware of an MPLS. That's where you've got multiple... Did it only work over Ethernet, MPLS? Or in the later day, we had MPLS that could work across...
So yeah, you'd have various forms. So, I'm probably going to retire after the end of this, but you would have MPLS using ISDN2, ADSL, COP, a real mishmash, and effectively it just collects a load of sites together into one network. So,
puts a bubble around and makes them secure.
Yeah, and then you would provide a dedicated internet connection.
That's it
as well.
I remember quoting for that.
Yeah.
I remember trying to quote for these to go back to my partners, not having any idea what I was quoting for. I was like, I need a price for an MPLS. And they're like, right, give me a list of your sites. You give me a list of the sites. They were like, this product's available here. And they're like, do you need internet? And I'm like, well, obviously, yeah. I thought this is what it is. And you buy your breakout separate.
Yeah.
Old school, right?
And you might put resilience on that as well when it gets really interesting. So yeah, I mean, SD-WAN basically means you can deploy the same kind of network connectivity, for want of a better description, via just needing an internet connection at each site, and effectively
it's like a virtual MPLS.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah, maybe.
It was interesting because, I was talking about it at Channel Live where there's always been things in our industry that have been the next hot topic, where you'll be sometimes talking to a customer or partner who says, first time I came across this sort of process was SIP. I need to look at SIP trunking. I'm on ISDN30, I need to look at SIP. Why? Because I'm hearing a lot about it at the minute. And then obviously the market catches up and people become aware of the benefit. And SD-WAN, kind of historically a few years ago, was a similar situation where people were going, I need to look at SD-WAN. Why? Because it's the next big thing, I think. So it was always one of those interesting things, but you can deploy things really quickly. So it's a fantastic development, and we do provide some of that, but a lot of our partners will provide that ourselves, so they'll use us for the connectivity.
Of course. Right, jumping back to taking your limelight away from your hypercities. So, and the wireless product. Sorry, and we're terrible host. Right, back to the Luminet acquisition. So you bought these boys, you took these guys over. They've now come into the group, and you can now provide an always-on service, which means you can have a wireless connection with an Ethernet. If the Ethernet goes down, boom, the wireless jumps straight back in, and people can get a very quick Ethernet-like service wirelessly within 10 days.
Yeah, up to 10 gig.
Okay. And then in your hypercities, what difference can you bring when it comes to getting these services installed? So, do you have your own engineers, or am I going to get shut down?
We have our own engineers. So one of the things that attracted me working with Telcom was historically, we'll use contractors, and there's some brilliant contractors out there, and I understand why you would use that. You can turn the resource on and off from a cost point of view, but the attractiveness of having your own engineer resource who you can point at areas, who are invested in your business, and who can, the cultural side of things was really
that must
unique.
be important, right? Because I ain't saying that, but obviously the large national players out there, very famously in the channel, could be a bit relaxed, should we say, at times. Like 12 o'clock comes and they're like, see you later, right? But then if you've got your own internal group, do you bed into them like, this is our mantra, this is how we want to do this? And do you have that? Does it not work? Engineers are engineers. How many people am I going to offend in this one episode?
No one at Telcom. So for us, the recruitment and the work with people is very people orientated. So historically, for example, on my own recruitment, you would expect how many partners can you bring with you? Can you do this? Have you got this? Have you got that? It was more about me as a person, how I would react in a situation where a partner was in difficulty, how I am as a person, my values. And we approach that throughout the business in terms of almost everyone's definition of nice is different, don't get me wrong, but we try and hire people that are really bought in and open and collaborative, and I've seen a lot of that throughout the business. It's been quite interesting, to be honest, because I'm normally used to a bit of animosity between sales and delivery, because sales probably sell stuff they shouldn't, which I'm sure you've never done, and then delivery have to kind of pick up the pieces. But there's a strong collaboration within Telcom, and from an engineering perspective, it kind of flows out, and they're really good guys.
Interesting. Okay. Okay. So you got your Hypercities, which does the on-net stuff. What's on-net and off-net? This is a question I always get. People comment on my articles online, and I was going to do an explainer video, but let's just bed that in. What does on-net and off-net mean to you? And I can snip this and use it in a knowledge hub.
I understand the question because I'll answer you, but I understand where.
And this fits in, right? Because your Hypercity, I assume, is on-net.
I understand, right? Because an altnet who is wholesale wants, ideally, in a perfect world, everyone to buy lots of connectivity on their network because they make more cash. So their internal language will be on and off net. But if you're talking to a reseller or a partner and you say, it's on net, off net, it means nothing to them.
It doesn't. They're buying from you.
They're buying from you, and they're buying a lease line. It doesn't matter any of the back bit. So kind of internally, where we fall down probably as altnets is we push that language out to a market that it means nothing to. It's no impact on, really. I mean, the only, from a Telcom perspective, the difference is lead time. Yeah. We can deliver on net rapidly, whereas third parties can take a bit longer. But on net effectively is core network that we own, we manage, we do the full end to end. Off net is where we're using a third party just to provide the connection into the customer back onto our network. But it's something that probably Fibrenews will make a thing about in terms of making sure altnets keep our language to our customers in a way that they can understand.
Like that, thank you. Let's talk about preconnect. So when we initially started this conversation, you were going to come on the podcast, I was asking you some topics that we should talk about, and one that I think is quite unique and what I assume partners like, and I'll tell you my opinion why, is this preconnect product. So my assumption on this, and we purposely haven't spoken about it so I can naturally ask you questions on the podcast, is where you will bring fibre into a office block, for example, and then you actually run the cable internally as well. So like offices are ready to just be plug and play, and you allow partners to get access to those addresses to say you can go and sell any business that's coming into that property. Is that right?
Yeah, so it's a really disruptive product, and we've since adding it to our portal, it's kind of exploded in terms of partners wanting to take advantage. But kind of going back to the product, we'll work with landlords. We'll agree a way leave that covers the entire building, and we'll put infrastructure within that building.
And do you work with partners to get it into a block as well? So if they've got an opportunity with a landlord, they come to you and say, hi, I'm working with Regis, for example. Yeah. Come and terminate in, but you might not get a connection for the first 6 months. Is when they come into that?
Yeah, so we will, we kind of have a two-pronged approach. So we have a way live team who work with landlords across the UK. We try and specialise in terms of the hypercities due to the volume of buildings there. And we obviously put that infrastructure in. If a partner comes and says, look, I'm really friends with the large developer Jonny Rae, who's got a multi-business unit in Exeter. Yeah. It's a new build.
Sounds like me.
Would you support us putting infrastructure in? We'll run it in terms of as the lead sales function, if you like, and sign businesses up. 100% we look at those.
Is there a cost to the partner?
No.
That's lucky again. So far, we haven't had to snip anything out because I haven't asked any inappropriate questions. This is good. Okay, cool. That's very interesting. And
the lead time's a big thing as well, because I would say there's two key things with preconnect. For the landlord, it's great because we do it at our cost.
Yeah.
But I think for the businesses going in, a lot of the time, leases and things like that are the last thing to be signed. And sometimes they're signed a week before you're moving in, weekend before you're moving in. So you don't have the luxury of waiting 2-3 months for a connection. So the pre-connect building enables, a customer to be connected really quickly. And for our partners, it presents an opportunity where they can realise revenue, they can support a customer, make them very happy, and hopefully sell additional layer on products on top. And the wayleave being agreed, sometimes wayleaves can take 6 months, 12 months, 18 months, or it's a few £1,000s, and that already being agreed means it just flies through.
When you came to launch Giga Britain, did you have to go through the process? I spoke about this on another podcast. Did you have to go through the process of making sure you had some sort of portal that a partner could get access to? And it's a big bugbear if you haven't got it right, because they'll moan at you every second of the day if they haven't got the right information on there or the right availability check and all that.
Yeah, it was a big thing for us. So as a business, we're probably quite unique in that we have our own engineers, but then we also have our own developers. So we've been able to build a portal from scratch, but with partner input, sales people who are talking to partners input within that. So being able to bring that to market, it's been really advantageous. And because we're using our own developers, again, you've got a control over it.
There we go. Good plug. Cool. What type of partner are you onboarding? What type of partner are you seeing more commonly? Your more tech-heavy MSPs, or is it still I always call them traditional telco players?
So it's a mixture, really. I think when we first launched, it was a lot of partners who were regional resellers based in and around our network, who needed quick installations. They were open to a different approach of support, I suppose, more relationship based. And as we've kind of grown through the year, we're starting to work with more MSPs, integrating into partners portals, APIs, all that kind of good stuff, due to the network speed of delivery and the sort of value, I suppose, that we add to them to then add to their partners or customers.
So a lot of brands and a lot of new entrants coming into the market will try and push on creating that community and culture within the channel. How do you think you'll be able to achieve that with the Giga Britain brand? Because I know that's a poignant point for you as a brand and a business and you personally. So how do you think you can achieve that, and what can we expect from Giga Britain to offer that to partners moving forward?
It's a very good question. I think fundamentally it's a really personal thing, but it's down to the individual. So for me, the ability to look myself in the mirror is a really important thing in terms of how I was raised, my dad's values that I kind of live to, and how I want to work and treat people as you like to be treated and things like that. I think for me, it's important we can all say things, but our values are what drive the function. So for me, it's remaining authentic, which a lot of people can kind of change in terms of how they are, or things can sound great. We do this, but when the reality of that situation happens, they're nowhere to be seen because it's a marketing headline or it's a sales headline. I think for me, it's I know the journey we're on, and I know the values I have, and I know they're aligned with what we're doing, and the recruitment is aligned with that in terms of partner first, responsive, accountable. I know I keep saying the word accountable, but it's such an important thing in channel. And I think it's those core values that are driving us through. If I sat here and said, yeah, we do all these things, but I didn't follow it through, we'd be dead within a week, 2 weeks.
It gets picked up on very, very
People
quickly.
aren't stupid.
Yeah.
A reseller or a partner is trusting you with their customer. So it's commoditized, all that stuff I get. But, their business is taking the financial risk of committing a large spend to you over 3 years for a customer that they've worked bloody hard to win. So there needs to be that strength of relationship to trust you. It's very hard to secure a customer, very easy to lose that customer and then not coming back. So the sort of approach that we have will see us differentiate, and it's already seeing that differentiation in the market.
Like that.
And hopefully, I think competition is a brilliant thing. I talk about it on LinkedIn a lot. If our approach continues to work the way I think it will work and should work, I think you will see bigger wholesalers move to that style, which is great because that will raise the standard for resellers. And if we can increase that for businesses in the UK, that's a big tick in the box.
Are you going to do any events?
Yeah, so we've done. So what we try and do, so we did a Manchester launch in October, Manchester hosted launch, and then we did Giga Britain in London, which
that's why I'm asking. I loved that. Absolutely loved that.
And for us, it was important when we do these events that our partners. The thing that I buzz off, and I love this, is when we get our partners in a room together in a social setting where we're talking to them about certain things. Every single time I've done them, partners have said, "Well, what do you do as a business, Johnny? Oh, you do that. Well, I'm interested in that." And there's business kind of popping off in the room.
It happens. It happens.
The value to that is huge.
I say it all the time. I do say it all the time. When I used to do my consultancy, and I go and see businesses who weren't very well known in the industry. That doesn't matter whatsoever. But one common thing was they wouldn't. If I tried to say to them, right, there's an expo coming up, or there's this event, there's no cost to go, but you get to go and speak to some wholesalers, some suppliers, some partners, and some of your competition, and they would turn their nose and say, absolutely not. Why do I want to do that? Why do I want to go? One, they would have this like anonymous. They'd have like this. I don't know. They would see like the wholesaler,
they
didn't want to do it, and I was trying to get into their heads that it's a place to learn, and there isn't. If you can get in the room, and after everyone's relaxed a little bit, and the evening gets on, you'd be so surprised how much you can learn. We're going back to that whole must be in front of someone to sell, in my opinion, right?
You bang on. Like, I mean, I've been to supporting partners at BNI events, so they'll do a BNI event, but for example, and there's other business networking events available. They're the only business in there because they have to be in their particular sector.
Yeah.
So the social events we do and partner events, every time there's partners working together either on opportunities or they're even talking about challenges with recruitment, market conditions. And, we had an event a few weeks ago and the MD of one of our partners was talking to me and he said, "I'm really glad I spoke to you because you're having similar challenges to me."
100%.
I thought I was the only one.
100%.
And you could see it was kind of a moment.
100%.
And you're not going to get that either just working in your office or going to a networking event because, you're in IT. Yeah. A lawyer firm might have totally different challenges in their sort of market. Exactly. So there was huge with that. And obviously the London event was really good in terms of our partners. Our carrier partners were there as well. So, our partners could speak to Virgin or Sky and raise either concerns, historical, you thought you were this, or actually I didn't know you guys did that. Yeah. It's a really great collaboration piece. It's nerve-wracking doing those things in front of your customers. It's...
I hate it. I hate doing anything. You had to do it at Channel Live, didn't you?
I spoke about it a while ago. It's... a big development area for me is they call it imposter syndrome. Yeah. So I can be in a room with people and I have the voice in my head going, "You don't belong here. You don't belong here." It's all directors and things like that. And I guess might be to do with my journey, might be due to many of my faults, but you have to kind of manage that and push through it. And it's a real honour to talk to your customers. And it sounds cliche, but it was great. I mean the venue was great as well. It used to be an old prison, I think it was, we had in Soho. But a lot of the feedback was good.
How can you entice your partners to attend and get into that mantra? Because there'll be loads that are already signed up to you, right, that will have hesitations to go in. Have you got a plan? Or have I put you on the spot?
No.
Or in general, how do you do it? It's hard, right?
Yeah, it is. I think a lot comes back to the point you made before in terms of the relationship piece. We will struggle, and any business will struggle getting people to come to events unless there's a relationship there, unless you're effectively making the effort to work together. So we are judged and judge ourselves on attendance in terms of what's our relationship like with our partners. Are we talking to them? Do they understand the benefits? Is it a face-to-face discussion, not just a generic email? And I think, for us as well, it's important for a partner, as well as the business networking, understanding where we're going. It also helps a partner to understand how we can work better together and raise things that they want to see us do differently. Yeah. And then it's important we take that in and learn and adapt, which is, it's been a constant through the last year, just responding to feedback and where we can change and adapt, always doing that.
Roger that. Do you see any orders over 10 gig? Are they becoming more common? Am I too old school? Is that a common thing now?
We're definitely seeing kind of seeing two bits. So we're seeing an increase in FTTP where, since we launched that on our portal for our hyper cities, the demand has been.
So you have a fibre to the premises prop?
Yes.
For businesses?
Yes.
Happy days. And that's on all of your network? All of
our network.
So where an Ethernet can be supplied, you can provide an FTTP?
Available via our channel.
Interesting.
So Giga Britain is the vehicle for that.
And you've seen good take up in that. Why wouldn't you, right? Because for a lot of businesses, an FTTP with a network on a business, could you have a higher SLA than obviously a consumer FTTP?
Yeah, there's an SLA differentiator. It's a business grade SLA.
Yeah.
Slightly different to kind of your.
Do you provide the router?
Line. Yeah, we'll provide a router for it, manage it, install it for you.
Yeah. Can you remember the name of the router? Let's say yes there. Right, happy days. Okay, so I didn't know that. And then what was I saying before that? So you got FTTP. Product.
So in terms of market condition, we're seeing it's obviously FTTP movement. You've got, although I know it's been put back a year or two, the copper switch off and how that's been handled. So FTTP's increasing. A lot of resellers see that as their go-to market. I would say for the next couple of years.
It's got to be right. You can do campaigns on FTTP. Like, there's no for a business. If you do it clever enough, I say connectivity is unsexy, but there's definitely a way that you can go out, promote, and win business. What? I can say that, can't I?
Connectivity is unsexy.
It is. It's not. Right. I'll keep it in, right? Because it is a fact. You've got a hard.
When I'm saying these things, is it me going cut it out?
You've got a hard gig, right? So that's why I keep going back to like your whole how you're going to create this community and this passion within your brand with your partners, because is without it you're going to struggle, right? There's lots of other connectivity players out there. Of course, you're on net where you are, but for what you want to achieve to be this national brand, that's got to be mega important. And I can see you're obviously doing it because I went to your event. It was really, really good. So hats off to you for that.
Yeah, you snuck in.
I hear word on the street is that you might be starting a podcast as well. Could that be true?
Well, what do they say? Flattery is the best form of imitation is the best form of flattery.
There we go. We got there. Yeah. If anyone who doesn't know, we tap the mic when it comes to editing stuff out.
That's why I've done this the whole way through. No, so we're looking to launch our own podcast.
Love that.
I can't think what's inspired us, but for us, it kind of feeds back to that relationship piece.
Yeah.
So there's kind of two things that kind of spring to mind if I'm really open. So we have the relationship bit. So it's important that we're accessible and people understand us as people, our values, and understand us as business. And podcasts are a great way of reaching people.
Yeah.
We're not so. Magazines were brilliant and people still read them on occasion, but it's a better format for us to showcase that. And we can talk about, or we will be talking about, a range of things, as well as we'll be talking to internal people on the products and things like that. Also, we talk to partners, key people I've worked with in the past, people I know,
carriers,
probably people you know. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Because it's got to be wide ranging. It can't just be a podcast advert. But kind of touch on it. So that's the first thing for us with podcasts. But then, kind of who we are as a business, and again leading back into that authenticity piece, is how we communicate with our existing customers and potential customers. Or partners.
You get resellers on?
Yeah.
Yeah, happy days.
100%.
It'd be really good if you can get someone on who's led a broadband first campaign, used it to go out to generate new business. I'd want, and also I'd love
that's
to.
That's 100%. It'd be good to get you on as well, sir. But the most enjoyment I get from my job is talking to different businesses. They've all got different unique go-to-market strategies, approaches, things that have worked, things haven't worked. Some are very big online. Some have a fleet of salespeople. Some loads of different approaches, telemarket, you name it. And for us, it's about reaching markets in a different way. Because, if we tried in Giga Britain to compete with established brands with much bigger marketing budgets, we're going to struggle if we try and do exactly the same.
Yeah.
And why do we want to do the same? Because the whole point is to differentiate. And that's part of the reason, being really open. I wanted to speak to you on Fibrenews because in the channel, in my opinion, personal opinion, controversial point come in, which you don't want editing. We've had pretty much the same process of supporting businesses in terms of a magazine page, a stand at an event. We've had that for my entire time in the channel, pretty much, and that's why I think it's important that I support and we support Fibrenews, because there's a lot of synergies in terms of you're disrupting,
love that,
and different approach, which lines perfectly with what we want. You know, our marketing director is very focused on a particular form of messaging, and a particular way of us communicating effectively mine and Giga Britain's core values, which line in really well. And I don't want to be the same as everyone else, because what's the point in getting out of bed if you're going to be the same as everyone else? So I know you won't say anything controversial about your competitors, but for me, it's important that we align with brands that are like that, because to what my point before is, how can you truly be disruptive but do the same as everyone else? It's just pointless. It's just words.
First person to plug our podcast on our podcast. I appreciate that. Thank you very much. Top man. Is there anything I haven't asked you that you want to talk about? I'm cautious that we don't want to go over the hour mark, like I say in most of our podcast episodes. But
No, I think the core for me is the movement that we are setting about, the value that we want to offer our partners, the improvement we want to show to support that. And I think it's imposter syndrome's kind of coming over me, but I think it's very key that we maintain an authenticity. So I will always look after customers. I'll always know how to load an order, deal with a query, because if I don't know that, how can I talk to partners who are doing that? And how can I drive change?
Yeah, that's good. I'll pick you up on that as well. I've worked from you in my consultancy days. Having someone that you can pick up the phone to and say, can you have a little look at this for me? And actually be able to do it on the phone and not say, bear with me, I'll just pop you through to support level 96 and then we'll see if we can get back to you soon.
Yeah, exactly.
That's a good way to finish. You are a wholesaler within the market, so if anybody does want to reach out to you, I'll put your details in the description of the podcast if someone's listening in the car, and of course it will be on the video on YouTube. Will Goodall, everyone. Thank you very much for coming on. I really appreciate it.
No, thank you very much for having me.
Thank you, mate.